Okay, good day. Today we're going to talk about meeting agendas and how do you write a meeting agenda. This follows on the other class I did on writing emails and sending emails. So it's related. So normally you might send an email out to invite people to a meeting, colleagues, clients, etc. And now we're going to set a meeting agenda. How do you make sure that your meeting is effective? This is just part of other lectures we're going to do about meetings and conducting meetings. But this is where you write about how to have the document you're going to send out on what the meeting is going to be about. So we want to talk about meeting agendas. Okay. And right. Okay. So what is an agenda? And why do we need it? So an agenda is the items you want to cover in a meeting. So basically, we're going to have a meeting. What do we talk about? What do we discuss? And this is what you write everything down to keep everyone in check, make sure the meeting is efficient. The idea here is when you have a proper agenda, your meeting is usually more focused, and the more focused your meeting is, generally, the more effective it becomes, and you get the results that you want. The agenda is set by the person who's the organizer, may or may not be the meeting leader, but is someone who's really organized, who knows what's the issue, and can say who should attend, okay, and what needs to be discussed. The agenda gives, lets the attendees know what to expect, helps with efficiency, productivity, because you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste anyone's time, and help focus. um, you know who needs to attend. You don't want a meeting with 20 persons. You don't need it. So therefore, if you know who to attend, so the person who attends the meeting, they contribute. And therefore, if you know what you're going to discuss, you know who needs to be there. Also, it gives an idea of the length because depending on what's the issue, you will have an idea how long it's going to take. So, for example, if there has been an earthquake like in March in Bangkok, Thailand, then we're going to have a meeting to look at building safety. We know it's going to take a lot of time because there are lots of issues to run through. So therefore, you might want to give it 45 minutes. However, if it's a meeting about planning the Christmas party, or something like that, you might want to have less, 15 minutes, okay? Because it's an annual thing, we know what to do. So basically, it comes back to what we said before: who is doing what, when, and for how long. So we come back to what we said before: who, what, where, when, why, how. These are important questions that whatever you're doing, you can ask. And that's what we're doing here. What's an agenda? What we're going to talk about? Who's going to talk about it? How long are they going to talk about it? What's the result? At the end of this meeting, what are we going to get? And that's what your agenda helps identify and focus. The people who are there to make a decision, and they can make a decision. They can contribute. Efficient. So, one of the things before having a meeting, just a reminder before setting an agenda, um, do you need to have a meeting? Think about it. Is there an alternative? Because a lot of times we have meetings to say we have meetings, but it's not necessarily there because a lot of times I've been to meetings where it's to satisfy quality assurance to say, yes, we had department meeting. At the end of the meeting, nothing was said or done, but we had a meeting. We got together, we talked about issues, nothing was resolved. We all signed that we had it. Even those who weren't there said they attended. But that's think about why you're having a meeting. Okay, you can walk over, talk, a group text chat. These things help. Have lunch together, a department lunch. Have the discussion in a friendly environment. It may work. Okay, so think about what's the alternative to that meeting. Do you really need it? Um, and again, people who can contribute. You don't want people there that do not contribute, that are just there to make up numbers. The fewer, the better. Do delegators, decision makers, doers, the D's. These are the people you need. Delegators, decision makers, doers. You want to give some notice, 1 to 2 weeks. 2 weeks is ideal. It's not too long, not too short. It's plannable. Make sure you notice. Um, Convenient times. So for example, when I worked at PDO in Oman, we had access to each other's calendars, so it made planning meetings very easy. So I know who's busy when, I know who's not busy when. So when I plan the meeting, most of the people attending, I know they are free. There might be 1 or 2 persons who had some other meeting. I would walk over and said, I'm planning to have this meeting at this time. However, I notice that you're busy. Would it be convenient for you if you could change your, if you could adjust, or if you come late or something like that? So make sure, and the thing is, you don't want to have people changing the times often. So you might get send a request, meeting request, and someone say, "Hey, let's have this meeting on Friday," and someone say, "No, Monday, no, Tuesday," and it becomes problematic. Try to avoid that. So if you could get walk around, speak to people, find out when they are free, look at their calendars, come up with a best fit, that's the best thing. At least 2 weeks notice in advance so you know who's going to be there. Or you can say send a representative. There are other things. Think about why you're having that meeting. So when we come to setting the agenda, what we could look at here is first things first, why are you having this meeting? Now, one thing I must say, I've taken these steps from Indeed.com, and because it's well laid out, their website is very good. I would recommend it. Some of the material I use is from them. Um, so, yes, it will look familiar. But the issue is similar to what I was going to say. Why have the meetings? So, think about why you have that meeting. If it's to plan a new project, launch a new course, launch a new program, think about why you're having that meeting. Ask participants for input. So, ask who's going to attend. What do you think? Do you like the idea? This is what we're going to discuss. How do you think we should discuss it? Have a list of questions. So think about what you want. Speak to the people who are going to attend and get their feedback, right? Because the idea is once you get their feedback before they attend the meeting, you have an idea as an organizer. You have an idea of what to expect, what to go on. So when you write your agenda and you let everyone else know, each person has an idea what to expect, how to prepare. They come to the meeting much better prepared, and therefore much more focused, and hopefully you get more done. Think about why have the meeting, topics, how much time. These are things you need to know. What's your goal? Get inputs. Listen to the questions. I mean, make sure the people know what they're going to do. Think about the assumptions. What do we expect to achieve? And make sure it's realistic, because sometimes someone might say, here what happened, I need to get a clear decision today, but they may not be able to. So what are the options? Think about the questions, think about the people, think about what is going on. And then in each idea, if we think about having a project, there might be the project ideas, the project options. So, should we drill for oil in area A, B, or C? You think about what the pros and cons of the area A, pros and cons of the area B, pros and cons of the area C. Or you might want to go pros of each area, cons of each area, and then you put into it. And then you might have a section with options. Think about what each task is about, how much time, who would need to talk about what. And in all the meetings, you would have a devil's advocate, someone to question. So perhaps you might want to put that person last. It's not that they're not important, but if they start talking too early, they might slow the meeting down. So think about the time and have somebody to monitor the time. So make sure someone's there, and make sure everyone who comes to the meeting is involved, and that's important because you don't want somebody at the meeting who's not going to help, who's not going to contribute. Another thing is, you want to control the meeting, and you might have to have another meeting. So you might say, hey, all the ideas haven't been finalized. When is the best time to have another meeting, and get everyone in the meeting room to do that? So normally, I would try to finish my meetings 5 minutes before the end scheduled time, and then you stop and you say, okay, we have discussed A, B, C, D. We have agreed on A, B. We still have to get C finalized. When would be the best time? The nice part with doing that when everyone is there, because you're going to have minutes afterwards. So the minutes are the notes of the meeting. And by verbally saying these things 5 minutes from the end of the scheduled time, you let everyone is aware and is on the same page. And that's what you want when you're having a meeting. And when you write these things down on paper, and you do interrupt, you are following the schedule. And therefore, it's less likely to get opposition, and everyone else is much more comfortable with you doing that. There are no one way to formulate minutes, but what we're going to do here, I'm just going to show you two examples. So this is one from MIT, and here's the link of where I got it from. So here's saying what the issue is about, what you want to get out at the end of it, what status it is, how many times, who's going to be involved, and how you're going to have that discussion. This is one approach to setting an agenda. Choose whatever you want. Generally speaking, I would just suggest have the high priority things first, the medium priority things last, um, generally. But high priority, and it doesn't take much time, so you might get it over it. Um, that's would be my idea. So generally, get your important things done first, less important things later. Things that require the least time, probably put it first. The one require most time, put it last. Because the idea here is that you don't want the discussion to carry on. So you want to get something done quickly. So for me, I would say action items put at first. This doesn't take much time. Um, Feedback for editing, put at a second, doesn't take much time. Then you get into project updates, um, priorities, that sort of thing. Okay, that's my suggestion. Another example here from HBR, Harvard Business Review. The topic: who needs to do what, how we're going to discuss it, what's going to be results. And remember, when you have a meeting, you want to have someone in charge, someone leading it, making sure they come prepared, making sure everyone is on the same page, literally and figuratively. So the discussion is constrained. And this is what they're doing here: details, details, details. When you write things down, you want to have as much details as possible so that the attendees, they come prepared, come focused, you get a result from what you want. Okay, so this is just one off meetings. However, one sometime might happen, you might have a weekly or monthly meeting, so you could have a standard agenda, review current status updates, you might have a graph. There are many different ways. Expected outcomes, any other business, a template. So, as you saw earlier on, these are templates for meetings. You could have it either for regular updates or individual meetings. But what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the question here, and we're going to work through how to write, how to create an agenda for a meeting. We talk about writing emails. We're going to link with that class, and we're going to look at how you prepare an agenda for the meeting. Here is it. Last week we talked about parenting the class week, and we're going to talk about what you're going to write, and you're going to have a meeting. So you invited the stakeholders, who to invite, what you're going to talk about, how long, and the expected outcomes. So this is just an example, and we'll get to the rest later. Okay, this is where we work through an example. So following on the previous class where we talked about writing emails. Here we are going to write an agenda. And what I did in the class, I gave an example, and this is the question. So here you are going to prepare an agenda for a meeting where stakeholders discuss the event. It's clear, who's doing what, when, why. And the reason why I have that is basically when you start your agenda, one of the first things you want to know is why are you having that meeting? And in this case, it will be to agree and discuss the details of parent in the class event. Okay, so one of the first things you do is figure out why are you having that meeting. And once you understand that, you start writing down why. Then you think about who are you going to invite. So one of the things we think about is who are we going to invite? In this case would be the dean, student rep. So the dean, student representative, the consultant, and you might want to have optional, you might want to have the lecturer, or you might want to have somebody from the PR or learning department. So you could have, and this would be optional. So these are who do you want, and these are optional. People who could contribute or who might be interested in what's happening. So you might have a representative from the lecturers who might say something, but their role is optional, and you have that. Now you want to say what going to be discussed by who and how much time. So in this case, what you're seeing here now, you're starting to have the thing. So what I would suggest in this case, this is not the agenda as yet. What you're doing here, you're preparing the material needed for the agenda. So in this case, I might say, okay, um, insert a table. Okay, so we're going to have who is going to discuss what, how much time, any other notes. And you have 3 or 4 persons. So you're going to say who is going to talk about what, how much time, and outcome. So what you're saying here is who's going to do what. So you might have the educational consultant. They're going to discuss the paradigm, excuse me, paradigm, paradigm, um, lay out the event plan, discuss options, something like that. So discuss paradigm. So you're going to use slides, case studies, videos. So in this way, you know what they need, how they're going to discuss it. So this is the details you're working on. They'll need slides, case studies, videos, um, talk, a whiteboard, and this you're starting to get ideas of what you need for the meeting as well. So in this way, you're saying, hey, what do I need for my meeting? What do I need to have set up? And then outcome would be everyone understand the paradigm, overview, overview of the event, and understand options clearly. All right, so nice. Then we have the dean. Oh, one thing I forgot, you might want time. So in this case, to discuss the paradigm, give the overview. So paradigm, you might say 20 minutes. Overview, event, 20 minutes. Options, 10 minutes. Now you have the dean, who's going to discuss what the faculty wants, what the faculty could offer, expectations, sort of thing. How this is a open discussion. Possible whiteboard. Something to write on, take notes. Time, so this will be, so the faculty, that will take about, the dean is not going to talk much. The offer, expectation, going 10. Outcome, knows what to expect. Okay, student rep, clear on why. So in this case, what the outcome is, you're thinking about those who in attendance, the consultant, the student rep, they need to be there and they understand. Um, then you go to the, you have your time. So this is like 20, 50, 60, 65 minute. You might want to have a short break. And then you might say, okay, 10-minute break because everyone's sitting down for a while. And then you come back in and you have now student student rep. And their student rep is going to, what they're going to do, they talk about students concern, the logistics, how it's going to affect their classes, something like that. And this would be open discussion, and the students will get, again, 10 minutes concerns, 10 minutes talk about what the students think, logistics, how it's going to affect, how many people are going to be in the classes, class interruptions, how is that going to affect their grade, 10 minutes. All right, an outcome is the education consultant and the dean are aware of what the students want and are concerned about. And then you might want to have the education consultant coming back again and saying, okay, we have heard from everyone. Um, you can have everyone summarizing earlier discussion, lay out a final plan to take all the concern. So give 30 minutes again. So this is layout and agreed way forward. And now what you now have is perhaps the dean given her, given her summary and agreement. And the reason why you want that is, and this is just open discussion. So the dean is saying, okay, we have all agreed on this. We have any other concern. This is what happened. And this is the final way forward. In this way, what you're now doing here is that you've laid out what's happening, what's going on, and now you have an idea. Hey, this is going to take 50 minutes, 40 minutes, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 20, 100, 110, 140, 150. So at least 2.5 hours or less. Okay, and the reason you're given this time, so now you know what is needed, how long it's going to take, who's going to do what. You now have an idea of what you're going to write. And this is the start of what you're going to write your agenda. So now that we have the basic information we need for for the meeting, we have who's going to talk about what, how or how they're going to discuss it, what they would need, etc. Resources. You also have approximate times allotted to each individual and each activity, and you have expected outcomes. And this is very important. You want the meeting to be productive, so someone's going to speak at the end of their participation. This is going to go into the email that you are going to send out to the attendees. And I've done it down here. Your meeting agenda would look like you have a title, meeting to discuss parents in a class week event. Then you will also have where, and you're going to have the international college, meeting room, where, time. You're going to have a list of who's required, who optional attendees might attend, why, who's the organizer, essential information. So the attendees, when they're looking at this, they're going to see, am I required to be here or am I not required to be here? In some cases, if not required, if optional, the person may choose to ignore and or send someone else who's the organizer and what they will do. And as we did before, we used the outline from what we had before, and now we have who is going to discuss what, how, and change or adjust how the meeting is going to go. So similar to what we had before, here now you have all the main speakers talking, the education consultant, the dean, the student, getting them involved. Optional attendees, you have now some optional attendees, get some other ideas. So you might want optional attendees because these guys will have no idea what's going on and they're giving you hopefully an objective, a view from afar. So at the end of the meeting, you have some ideas. They're not necessarily going to influence the meeting, but would help situate, have put in context what's going on in the meeting as they're concerned and how your meeting might affect others. The organizer, no matter how good he is, might miss something. So just in case, or it might confirm something that the organizer is thinking. So just in case, occasionally is good, but you don't want to give them too much time. They're there to observe, and since they're there, let them talk. Here you have a break again, and the reason why you're having a break is because it's been 70 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. Again, that's enough for people to sit and pay attention. After what, 45 minutes, 1 hour, most people lose attention, lose focus. So having a break, 45 minutes, 60 minutes is essential. And you're going to have a little longer here because everyone who is involved is active. So for an hour and 50 minutes, if everyone is active, it shouldn't be a problem. Here we have a break, And this break is to get rest, but also because right after the break, the education consultant is now going to summarize what happened and lay out a plan. So you give the education consultant some time to put together his notes. Okay, and that's what we have. Then you have an open agreement. In this case, agreement, everyone talks, open discussion, what they understand, what they think. Last but not least, the dean saying, "Okay, what happened? This is how it's going to happen." At the end of your thing, of your agenda, you could have some extra notes. Any concerns? And then if you want here, you could label this as notes. Any other concerns can be and should be addressed to all parties before the meeting. If you have some ideas, if you don't know, think about it. Let everybody know you're coming to the meeting. You have these are your ideas. You get the discussion going before the meeting. This is very important. If you have people talking to each other and discussing things before the meeting, hopefully the time in the meeting becomes shorter and much more productive. So having something like this helps remind the attendees what they could do. Minutes of meeting were distributed 2 days after the meeting. And that's important because, again, you want to have a record that the meeting took place, what the discussion was, and who said what, the main ideas, how did you come to agreement. Um, a potential follow up meeting, confirmation meeting can be held 1 week later, so you're productive. You want to end on a positive note. So you're saying that just in case things don't go as planned, and normally things don't go as planned, you want to sensitize your attendees. Hey, we're meeting to confirm what was discussed because we want to have a productive event. That's what you're doing. So it's may or may not be needed, but just in case, you're letting sensitizing the attendees. Hey, in case things don't go to plan on the 12th, we might have a short meeting to confirm what was discussed and the way forward. Because at the end of the day, you all want to have a productive event. The assumption here, and you're being very positive, is that everyone is going to agree. You always start positively, and in case things don't go, hey, you aim for 100%. If things don't go well, you end up with 80%. Not too bad, most of it. Okay, and you end with yours truly, typical Simon. So this is what I would suggest a potential agenda could look like and what it could be. Now there are other templates, there are other approaches depending on what type of meeting you have. So in this scenario, it's a meeting to discuss parent in a week. You're gonna have an event at your school. Here you're gonna have an event at the school. You're gonna have a meeting at the school, situate the meeting so people are aware of what's going on. If there's any questions, they can walk downstairs, they can walk upstairs, they can walk around the place. They know what they're talking about. Ideal, situate the meeting. When? Mid mornings, good time, everyone's still energetic. Middle of the week, okay? 2.5 hours, finish before lunch. Not too long, not too late, not too short. Yep, everyone has time. Who's required? What's who's optional? Who's doing the organizing? And then a nice outline of what you expect. Lastly, some notes just in case. There's always good to have a contingency. So this is one of the potential ways in which you can organize and you can write an agenda. Okay. There are many others. There are many templates. Choose what suits you as the organizer. Choose what suits the people, the meeting. But the idea is the content is what's important. Who is going to do what, when, why, how, the expected outcome. Make sure that is clear at the end of the meeting. Set up your meeting in such a way that at the end of the meeting, the outcome is clear and you can put things to it. So this is my quick take. Let me know what you think. And normally in class, I would do an example where students create there. Okay, thank you. Enjoy. Now let's do some one-on-one practice.